Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Kelly Dipsey. I'm the Senior Director of Communications and External Relations. And on behalf of myself and my Women's Entrepreneurship Week co-chair, I'd also like to greet the audience watching via the live stream from all over the city, across the river in New Jersey, throughout the United States, and also internationally. If you'd like to share today's event, please do so online at Berkeley College, #WEW2022. It's going to be an exciting morning. Thank you to our sponsors, Valley Bank and Main Street Movers, and to our media partners, Latinas in Business, Inc., the New American Chamber of Commerce, and the National Association of Women Business Owners, New York City chapter, who have amplified this event to their members and their audiences. We truly appreciate your support. Women's Entrepreneurship Week was founded in 2015 as part of a global initiative to address gender disparities in business and entrepreneurship. Now in its 8th year, more than 150 women have shared their voices during our Berkeley College panels, instilling confidence, sharing resources, and building a bridge of mentorship to our students and aspiring entrepreneurs in the community. In the past, our Women's Entrepreneurship Week events have focused on the themes of recalibrating the future, leading change, and owning your story. This year, we focused on big ideas, and wow, do our panelists have some of these. Today, you will hear inspiring stories from women in government, business, fashion, and design about how they discovered their big idea. But as we know, big ideas rarely ever spring forth fully formed. It takes unwavering passion, unflappable inner strength, a lot of roadblocks and failures, and, as one of our panelists put it, stubborn faith to turn a small idea with a lot of potential into a big idea. Before we get into our main program, I'm going to introduce another woman with some big ideas, our student leader, Kajini Kamo. Kajini is an honors scholar pursuing a bachelor's degree in health services administration right here at Berkeley College in New York City. She serves as a student aide on campus, a representative on the Student Government Association board, and she holds an amazing internship with a woman-owned media agency. And she will be graduating this spring. Let's give a big round of applause for Kajini Kamo.
Thank you, Kelly, for the introduction. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I am incredibly excited and honored to be here with you all, just standing here and conversating. My name is Kajini Kamo, and I am an honors scholar student pursuing my bachelor's degree in health services administration here at Berkeley College. I'd like to start by first thanking the panelists and other speakers here with us today who took the time out of their busy schedules to be here with us, sharing their wisdom and experiences in order to give back to us all. Let's give them a round of applause. I think having you here is especially a treat for the student entrepreneurs like myself who can learn so much from you about what succeeding in business can look like. Programs such as this are important for students because it creates a bridge which can inform and empower us all as to what to expect when we graduate. Here at Berkeley, I currently serve as a student aide to Campus Operating Officer Linda Pinsky-Morrow, and I am also currently doing my internship at MarketSmith, Inc., which is a women-owned media and creative agency. I have had the honor of serving as campus representative on the Student Government Association Board, and I am currently a member of our Association of Preparatory Colleges Student Leadership Council, where I am able to advocate on behalf of myself and other students for the continuation of the New York State Tuition Assistance Program, which has been an intricate factor in allowing me to be able to get the education and opportunities afforded to me here at Berkeley College. In addition to these roles, in 2021, I had the opportunity to take part in a competition for the Black Inventors Hall of Fame inaugural Design Thinking Collegiate Challenge, which was hosted in Tulsa, Oklahoma, alongside 3 other wonderful Berkeley students and our advisors, Dr. Byron Hargrove and Ms. Latisha Gaines. Together, we created a presentation discussing how sex trafficking disproportionately affects Black females, and we proposed the idea of creating an app called the 1591 app to aid towards putting an end towards this social issue. Trafficking is something that affects us all regardless of your race, gender, and when we start understanding that it ties into equity and diversity and recognize that the lens we may be seeing the world from is affecting our experience, we can then learn to make the necessary changes to make the difference. It is causes like this that make me so excited to be hearing from Julissa Gutierrez, our keynote speaker, who is the Chief Diversity Officer for the state of New York and is a champion in the fight for equity and diversity. I started in college with the hopes of growing as a woman and being involved within my school, and what I've been able to accomplish here at Berkeley is more than I could have imagined. Lastly, I'd like to add, as a woman born and raised in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, who currently resides in Brooklyn, New York, I came here after my home was destroyed due to the earthquake back in 2009, and many wouldn't believe it would be possible that I would be standing here right now speaking to you all, literally 1 semester from graduating. In spring of 2023. And although I am not 100% certain of what I will be doing after I graduate with my degree, I am certain that with the relationships and experiences and foundation that have been provided for me here at Berkeley College, that I will be successful. I am confident that no matter what I end up doing, I will be successful, as this is a standard that we hold ourselves to as a part of the Berkeley College family. And lastly, for real this time, I'd like to end by encouraging the attendees and viewers, especially the students who are in the audience, to listen closely to the panelists and to ask questions and to really be present to the moment. And you'll learn how they turn challenges and obstacles into success, and think about how you can apply that to your own life or business. Thank you.
Thank you, Kajini. We appreciate you being here today to share your story and represent the Berkeley College student body. At this time, I would like to introduce Dr. Diane Racinos, president of Berkeley College. Dr. Racinos has been a champion of Women's Entrepreneurship Week since its inception. While she has been a respected leader at Berkeley College for more than 3 decades, Dr. Racinos had only been interim president for 3 days when she gave remarks at last year's WEW event. As our students' biggest advocate, we appreciate Dr. Racinos' support of programming like Women's Entrepreneurship Week, which provides a real-life classroom for our students and opens doors to mentorship, internships, and job opportunities. Dr. Racinos, thank you for being with us today.
Good morning. It is a pleasure to welcome you to Berkeley College's 8th annual Women's Entrepreneurship Week panel, Big Ideas, the Catalyst for Business Success. I would like to acknowledge the Berkeley College leaders in the audience today, our chairman of the board, Kevin Lewing, Linda Morrow, campus operating officer, Amy Soroselli, Vice President of Career Services, and Maria Rivera, Director of Continuing Education. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank Kelly Depsey for planning today's event. I know it takes a lot of hard work and dedication to do an event like this, so thank you, Kelly. Berkeley College was founded as a women's secretarial school during the height of the Great Depression and sought to prepare women for the workforce during a time when there were limited opportunities. Last year, Berkeley College celebrated its 90th anniversary and 85 years in New York City. While the students we serve and the degree programs we provide have evolved over the last 90 years, Berkeley College has held steadfast to its mission of empowering students to achieve a lifelong success in dynamic careers. Our history continues to improve our belief that bringing women's voices to the forefront is a virtual and vital part of building an equitable society. Women's Entrepreneurship Week is a part of Berkeley College's commitment to educating students with real-world experience that elevate their futures. This event gives our students, many of whom are aspiring entrepreneurs in their own right, a place where they can be inspired by women who at one time were just like them. Our panelists are trailblazers in their fields, who had the talent and vision, and who put into hard work to make their dreams come true. Sorry, there's a bug fire. Berkeley College is proud to prepare the next generation of leaders like Kajini, our wonderful student speaker, in fields like business, healthcare, criminal justice, marketing communications, and design with skills and tools they need to be successful. We also believe in supporting our students holistically with resources including professional attire for job interviews and food pantries spearheaded by the Berkeley College Foundation, which combat the invisible epidemic of food insecurity among college students. We are proud to have opened our third food pantry last month at our Woodland Park, New Jersey campus in collaboration with the Community Food Bank of New Jersey, and also offer pantries in Newark, New Jersey, and here in New York City in collaboration with the Food Bank of New York City. At Berkeley College, we believe that education and collaboration are conduits for change. It is my hope that everyone leaves here inspired, not only the women who are considering starting a business, but also the women who are still feeling the impact of COVID-19 pandemic, those who are changing careers or looking for their next chapter or seeking ways to express their authentic selves. To our speakers and our sponsors, thank you for helping us bring inspiration and resources forward for our students and the community. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker, Jalissa Gutierrez. As New York State's Chief Diversity Officer, Ms. Gutierrez designs and implements statewide programs and initiatives increasing diversity within the state's workforce and the participation of women and people of color in all areas of state government. She led the state's efforts to raise the minimum wage, implement strong paid family leave program in the nation, pass the Gender Expression Non-Discrimination Act, and more. She has also been recognized on City and State's 2022 Power of Diversity Latino 100 list, and on AM New York Metro and Politics New York's Power Women's list. In May 2021, Ms. Gutierrez was named #1 on City and State New York's MWBE Power 50 list for her contributions to minority and women-owned business enterprises. Ms. Gutierrez is a sought-after expert on Latino issues and civic participation. Prior to joining the state, Ms. Gutierrez served in leadership roles at the National Association of Latino Elected and Appointed Officials Educational Fund and the New York City Department of Youth and Community Development. As proud Queens-born Colombiana, Ms. Gutierrez is a board member of the New Immigrants Community Empowerment, a trustee for the Queens Public Library, and a board member of the Queens Public Library Foundation. Before I invite Ms. Gutierrez to deliver the keynote address, I would like to invite her to the podium for a special awards presentation. And if you could just stand right over here for a moment. The Women's Entrepreneur, or the Women's Empowerment Award was established in 2021 in conjunction with Berkeley College's 90th anniversary. The award recognizes the entrepreneurs, business, and community leaders who have generously shared their career advice, personal experiences, and journey to success to help our students reach their goals. Ms. Gutierrez, Berkeley College educates a diverse student body that reflects the communities around us, women and men from all races and ethnicities in New York, New Jersey, across the country, and internationally. We are honored to recognize your work as Chief Diversity Officer for New York State and to present you with the 2022 Women's Empowerment Award for Inspiring Future Leaders. Your involvement in today's event opens the future to our students by giving them the opportunity to find mentors, gather inspiration, and see people just like them in prominent positions across the professional landscape. We sincerely thank you for being here today. Thank you. Just watch your step.
Good morning, everyone. So good to be here, and truly an honor, and such a nice surprise and celebration already to be a part of. And so, greetings, just coming in from Queens, from Corona. But I have heard so many great things of Berkeley, and being here today is truly it warms my heart. And I want to thank President Racinos for that introduction and for the award. I truly appreciate it. I'm a true public servant, so I see this as just, an honor for me to keep doing to help New Yorkers and everyone who's joining us. Your footprint is beyond just New York State. And again, my name is Julissa Gutierrez. I'm the Chief Diversity Officer for New York and appointed by Governor Kathy Hochul. And I want to thank Kelly and everyone else that took a part of this today of organizing and particularly highlighting Women's Entrepreneurship Week. I'm grateful to be here today and also to start off the day again with the student leader, Kajina. If I don't know where you were. Thank you so much for sharing, your words and for inspiring me. So that was lovely. And, I can already see, your long-standing commitment here at Berkeley, investing in our communities, in the folks that reflect the communities that Berkeley's footprint is in, and continuing to champion diversity. I understand that there's nearly 80% of the 2022 class that's graduating as self-identifying as Black and/or Latino. And so I truly, can see and understand how you have invested in not only understanding this, but integrating best practices. And so I also know that there's also so much more intersectional diversity with, folks who are, also who might be veterans, who are family caretakers, and folks who are working full-time jobs while attending school, and knowing that this is, just not part of your everyday, but part of your everyday for your families as well. And, doing the great work in meeting students where they're at, not, having long excelled in distance learning before, it's now a thing and it's, much more permanent. And also, you mentioned, President Pacino's, the holistic services provided. So I think that's truly, not only unique, but really addresses, again, centering the student into the process, into the experience here at Berkeley College. So understanding the importance of these strategic partnerships, investing in the experiences in the whole community. Events like this are a perfect day, an example of why we need to continue to have these dialogues and these celebrations to continue to show not only Berkeley's commitment to educating and also fostering entrepreneurship, but just to do it for ourselves and building community. And I know that this week is not just about dialogue and uplifting entrepreneurs. it's also putting the real lessons in action with those of you who are, are currently in class here, or, have come through Berkeley halls, Berkeley College's halls. And it's also about connecting the dots to make these dreams into reality, linking students to actual internship and career opportunities. It's also about recognizing and investing in oneself and preparing New Yorkers to succeed at the core of success for everyone, which not only helps individuals, but again, helps whole communities. And helping, in return as myself, as a public servant of New York, also contributing to the greater good of New York City and New York State, the Empire State. And I also want to acknowledge that we're living through many multiple moments. We just wrapped up Hispanic Heritage Month amongst many other celebrated months. We're grappling through Hurricane Fiona, Hurricane Ian, and most recently the thousands of asylees who are coming to New York City each day in search of safety, and recognizing how this has impacted many, many sectors. So all of these moments truly, and more, that you're also not just carrying every day as a community, but also every day individually as families maybe as well. These really carry weight on all of us as we come together today. The devastation that we have witnessed in Hurricane Fiona in the Caribbean, for example, and particularly in Puerto Rico, and 5 years after Hurricane Maria, is truly heartbreaking. So we continue to pay tribute to the lives that have been lost, and know that we are here to work and help in any way that we can. So we're just not sending thoughts and prayers, but also taking action by sharing resources and donations. A few weeks ago, Governor Hochul announced a few folks from the administration that departed to Puerto Rico to assist and assess the relief efforts in Puerto Rico as the island continues to recover from a devastating storm. And this is just a part of the many actions that the governor has taken to assist Puerto Rico in its reconstruction and recovery. And this is just exactly the type of action and commitment that Governor Hochul brings to all of her work for New Yorkers, and continuing to dedicate and strengthen diversity, equity, and inclusion for New York State. And another great thing to talk about, and as Chief Diversity Officer, one of my main goals was to help to diversify the cabinet, the leadership of the administration, and happy to share that we are exactly the most diverse administration in history. And that matters, because people are policy. And Governor Hochul has appointed many talented and diverse officials to her cabinet and administration, such as Secretary of State Robert Rodriguez, Department of Civil Service Commissioner Tim Hogues from Western New York, and the first female officer to head the New York Air National Guard, Brigadier General Denise Donald. We have the highest number of women in the cabinet than ever before, and several of our police agencies have also taken up the 30 times 30 pledge, which is an initiative to reach 30% of the women in the police force and recruit such classes by 2030. So, and again, Governor Hochul has not only been committed to advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion internally within the state workforce, but also we do this this work strategically externally to ensure that we're embedding DEI into everything that we do to truly help and serve all New Yorkers. So, I want to share with you some of those highlights, to share with you some of the work that we do and that I do, each day as a team effort. Really, I work at a Midtown, the Capitol office is in Albany, so, but as we do together as a team, people always say, well, you're not in Albany. I'm like, no, there's 2 offices. But for example, in February, we announced the state's first Chief Disability Officer, Kim Hill, and just this month, her team planned the state's first Disability Rights and Employment Awareness Month Symposium, which brings together advocates, people with disabilities, state agencies, and employers to focus on ensuring rights for people with disabilities and strengthening more equal opportunity and employment. And also earlier this month, we finally announced the launch. We had secured the budget for this in the last enacted budget. And we also announced the appointment of a new executive director for the Office of Language Access, Margarita Larios, to oversee the expanded statewide language access policy and improve access to state services for New Yorkers who may not speak, read, or write English. So this is truly a game changer. Someone like myself who grew up being an advocate, a navigator, and truly a translator and transcriber, was to know that we're investing in language access. Again, this is meeting folks not only where they're at, but also treating them with dignity and respect, you know. So I'm very proud of that work. Also, in terms of LGBTQ equity work, we've been super busy. We organized the first ever LGBTQ convening for all the state agencies to hear directly from advocates about what issues are most pressing for the LGBTQ community. And we're also working with state agencies and authorities on implementation of the Governor's Gender Recognition Act expansion, which requires public-facing state agencies that collect gender or sex information to provide a non-binary X gender marker option. Again, this is, you know, amazing work because, again, we are honoring people, you know, again, in terms of their gender identity and their true expression. And imagine that we're doing this at an implementation phase that's like totally expansive across the enterprise of all like the state touch points. We're also working internally to build capacity for DEI across the enterprise by planning a symposium for our own DEI practitioners at the state and agency authorities so that they can learn from each other and eliminate silos. It's important to know that working in community in this is the best way to do it, and also ensuring that you're also having buy-in and leadership from all what you call business units, all, you know, it's very interdepartmental, or whichever way folks might describe it in their business operations, but it's super clear that, you know, it's important to always know that DEI is very much embedded in everything, and also it's something that needs to be prioritized. So these are, again, just a few of the many examples of the work that we're doing in New York State, and there's much more to come. But since this is an event-focused entrepreneurship, I want to make sure I spend some time talking about small business and entrepreneurs, just so that you know that, you know, I'm here as a resource, and the state here is to support all of you. Small businesses are the backbone of the New York economy. You know, did you know that in fact 98% of New York businesses have fewer than 100 employees, and more than half of the workforce is employed not by big companies, but by small firms with fewer than 100 employees? We all know that our small businesses were hit particularly hard by the COVID pandemic, especially minority-owned businesses that were impacted disproportionately. At the same time, small and new businesses have been the engines of the recovery, and entrepreneurs across the country are converting this pivotal moment into a great opportunity. In fact, according to a study from the National Bureau of Economic Research, there were more applications of new businesses in 2020 than any year on record. These new businesses put people back to work and put New York's economy on the path to recovery, and again, as well into the communities that you're also tuning in from, because I know we're across the enterprise as well. During the pandemic, New York State government stepped up to help small businesses weather the storm. Programs like the New York Forward Loan Fund, a recovery loan program, and the $800 million Pandemic Small Business Recovery Grant Program, which set national standards and models for relief programs. The grant program, which just closed last month, delivered hundreds of millions of dollars to over 35,000 small businesses, with 90% of funding having gone to minority and women-owned businesses. And as we emerge from the pandemic, the state continues to provide unprecedented support to make sure that New York small businesses, and especially those new businesses created over the last two years, continue to thrive. So under Governor Hochul's leadership, New York State is providing nearly $1 billion in support for small businesses. The governor launched the first in the nation $200 million seed fund grant program last month. This program provides flexible grants to support early stage, micro, and small businesses that started operations on or after September 1st of 2018. At the same time, New York's Empire State Development Agency is also implementing more than $500 million in funding through federal, state, small business credit initiatives. This initiative funds support programs for small businesses with a focus on those still struggling from the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, and on helping traditionally disadvantaged small businesses succeed in the post-pandemic recovery and economy. So I encourage you all to visit esd.ny.gov/SSBCI to learn more about the broad range of opportunities that exist through this initiative. While these funding opportunities are critical for new businesses, New York State also supports technical assistance programs that can be invaluable for entrepreneurs. And I'm sure if you haven't heard this already, please take the notes down too. The Entrepreneurship Assistance Centers program helps New Yorkers establish and operate their small businesses. There are 22 EACs located throughout New York State, and they provide instructional training, one-on-one counseling, and technical assistance in various languages. The emphasis is on helping minority women and veterans developing lasting businesses and acquire problem-solving skills. They focus on concrete results like increased sales, expanded employment, and securing financing, especially in low to moderate income communities. During the fiscal year 2021, more than 600 women accessed the services of the EACs, and the EACs helped minority women-owned businesses secure more than $740,000 in loans. So I encourage you to take advantage of this extraordinary resource. I also want to share with you that we just had a great annual MWBE forum, a minority and women-owned business entrepreneurship program a few weeks ago in Albany, which is, before pandemic, was the largest convening of MWBs in the country, and still is, but now we have a hybrid model because we've been doing it, both online and in person. Over the 2 days, we had over 113 exhibitors and sponsors, including agencies and authorities that are there to share and develop relationships with MWBE firms. We had nearly 1,000 virtual attendees and over 500 in-person attendees. So in conjunction with the forum, Governor Hochul signed a legislative package to strengthen New York's nation-leading MWBE program. And this new legislation will help to protect the integrity of our MWBE program and give MWBEs more flexibility with state financing and make it easier than ever for MWBEs to access New York City contracts. So that's very big news. It's a game changer for many smaller MWBEs to be able to work with a greater discretionary funding. It's amazing. We also announced at the forum that the state has surpassed its goal for MWBE utilization on New York State contracts, achieving the highest MWBE utilization rate in the country for the second year in a row. So this means that the billions of dollars that New York State spends in contracting for all sorts of services, from cleaning, from construction projects, from food services, et cetera, 30.64% of those contracts, over $2.6 billion worth in contracts, went to MWBE firms during fiscal year of 2022. So this is a huge accomplishment, and I have to acknowledge our Division of Minority and Women's Business Development and all of our state agencies and authorities, which have been working hard to create a more equitable business community and economy, because you do need collective action and collective participation in ensuring that everyone succeeds. And meeting those numbers is the true testament of that. In addition to that, the division has invested heavily in greater customer assistance, moving towards a more regional staffing model in order to better and more directly serve the entire state. And we're also investing in faster in addressing the MWB certification and addressing the backlog, and thanks to additional resources that the governor provided in the last enacted budget, we're doing just that. And along with our small business efforts, we are focused on ensuring that we're meeting firms with business development opportunities to reimagine business. And in addition to investing in small businesses, entrepreneurs, and MWBEs, Governor Hochul has been laser focused on real economic development across the state. For example, just this month, she announced one of the largest economic development projects in U.S. history, a transformational public-private partnership with Micron Technology to build a cutting-edge semiconductor and manufacturing campus in Onondaga County, New York, which will create nearly 50,000 new jobs statewide. And a lot of these jobs are like good paying jobs, which again is a game changer when you're talking about real economic development and workforce development. Finally, I want to focus on some advice for us, for you, for our communities, for women. One, I cannot stress enough the importance of mentorship. After this event today, I invite each one of you who is in your circle and who they are connected to, Myself, as a Latina and daughter of immigrants, of parents from a blue-collar family, they could not give me advice on how to take a seat at the table. And I would not be where I am today without my mentors who have contributed immensely to my growth and opportunities. They probably didn't tell me how I can be part of the table, but they sure gave me good character and raised me right. So, I do have to acknowledge my parents. Women at work, and they gave me so much more. And again, so women at work, particularly women of color, need to hear from other women who have faced similar challenges and experiences in the workplace. Cultural distinctions, language barriers, gender-based workplace issues, microaggressions, micro-exclusions, all these that help to develop that sense of community. It's also so important to not only find those people, but also to give back yourself and to help build that pipeline. I have made it a point to not only mentor, but to also to champion women of color in my community and in my work life. I've offered guidance on navigating the office world and make sure that others see the light and talent that I see in so many women that I've had the honor to work and serve with. Building relationships is key. Be curious about people. We all have something to learn from each other, and we have to leverage relationships with government, relationships with each other, and continuously collaborate in this ecosystem. I stress also, government also is not just state, but city. It's your community board. It's also at the federal level. But the government matrix is also very big, so and it's helpful to know to also engage. But also a lot of the partners that are also supporting this event today, the Business of Women, also I saw a Chamber of Commerce. Those are, again, integral partners. I love personally, the saying, connect before you collect, because doing inclusion work is not just calling on someone when you need them, but doing the hard and long-term work of building trust and relationship within those communities. 2, never shortchange your ask or your worth. Every one of us must find an issue we are passionate to solve and find an outlet for that work. Once we do, we must not allow self-doubt or the perceived differences or privileges of others to shortchange our goals. Not only do we belong in every level of industry and leadership, but also when looking for support for our causes, never ask for less than what is truly needed, as we deserve that support. At the same time, read everything. The fine print and the big letters of contracts, the federal, state, and local regulations, because we can't build capacity without opportunity. Utilize the resources that are out there and invest in your internal infrastructures to ensure that your project is sustainable and moving forward. And 3, dream and think big. So like we're here today under big ideas. Be in the game to win the game, as they say, but also remain resilient and determined to defeat, because failure is a necessary part of the journey to success. Keep a strong commitment to serve others and help make your space better than how you found it. We can all change one action. We can all change for the better and for the good of the world, one action at a time. And lastly, celebrate what you bring to the table. Invest in yourself. Do not be apologetic about anything in your background or experience. It made you who you are and has served to bring you to the place that you are here today with us and with each other. You have the opportunity to be a voice for those in our community who need it, those who are still working to achieve the language fluency, education level, luck, and/or perseverance needed to be successful. You have the opportunity to represent those who need representation while looking and sounding like our community. And don't underestimate how important that is and how very necessary it also is. Whatever your passion is, you have the chance to evaluate your issues and your community in ways that no one else can. I know that these are challenging times, and it can seem more daunting than ever to start your own business. But across New York, entrepreneurs like you are boldly going out on their own and turning big ideas into reality. Under Governor Hochul's leadership, New York State stands ready to be your partner and help you and your business succeed. Again, doing business with the state helps us solve problems. It operationalizes policy and legislative directives and bridges the divide between social equity, sustainability, and resiliency, while exercising financial discipline and also ensuring that there's functional success, which is ultimately the goal. We know that it's our entrepreneurs, and especially women, and minority-owned businesses that are helping to drive this inclusive economic recovery that we must have. And it's events like this that show me that coming together in community is not something that we do just for fun or on a day or week, but it's a crucial part of the work that is more important than ever in the times that we are living in. And I just look forward to working together with you on all of this and continue to celebrate you. Thank you again. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gutierrez. What a way to kick off our event. I would like to invite our entrepreneurship panel up to take their seats as I introduce the moderator for our panel, Linda Morrow. As Campus Operating Officer of Berkeley College in New York City, Linda oversees day-to-day operations, finances, student and staff retention, space management, community outreach. Let's face it, there's not much she does not manage here. Linda began her career at Berkeley College in 2001 and has held additional positions in adult admissions, enrollment, and campus operations. Prior to joining Berkeley College, Linda worked in sales and marketing in the fashion industry. She was part of the YWCA Academy of Women Leaders class of 2015, has served on the board of directors for the North Jersey Chamber of Commerce since 2010, and is on the advisory board council for Dress for Success Northern New Jersey. She was honored as Woman of the Year in 2020 by the Borough of Woodland Park, New Jersey. Linda, take it away.
This is me. I am not ashamed. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Berkeley College. Hello, everyone out there. Thank you for joining us. And I am thrilled to be able to moderate this an amazing panel of women that woke up one day with a big idea, and they're here to share their ideas with us today. I would just like to encourage everyone who is standing in the back to please take a seat. And I would also like to encourage audience and student participation. You may have received an index card when you walked in. Please jot down some questions that you have for our panelists. If you'd like an index card, you can simply raise your hand, and someone here will be able to give you that card. I will be collecting cards in a little bit, but first I would just like to start off with an introduction of our amazing panelists. First, I will start here to my right. We have Rochelle Balanzat. She is the CEO and founder of Juliet Technologies. I met Rochelle this year at another women's empowerment panel discussion that we had, and she blew me away. So I'll leave it at that because her story is unbelievable. Next, we have Kibunin Nifi. Kibunin is starting to make a name for herself here in New York City. Her big idea is really taking off, and she will tell you more about that. Elizabeth Taylor. Sorry, I'm not going in order of your seats. Sorry. Raise your hand, Elizabeth. Owner of True Beauty Brooklyn and co-host of True Beauty Brooklyn podcast that I fell down the rabbit hole in. So you're going to have to listen to her story. And last but not least, Christina Young, founder of Stia Jewelry, who once again I met at another women's panel. And her story, from what I am learning, has blossomed since I met Christina. So I really look forward to hearing and sharing these stories with you. So everyone, please welcome our panelists. Okay. So one common theme as I was reading the bios of everybody and doing my homework on these phenomenal rock stars is their passion. And I truly believe their passion is what allowed them to launch their big idea. So I'm going to kick off our first question for Rochelle. The theme, and then we can go down the line. The theme of this year's Women's Entrepreneurship panel is big ideas. So tell us about the one big idea, Rochelle, that helped launch Juliet Technologies.
Good morning, everyone. I'm really excited to be here, and thank you for that humbling intro. My name is Rochelle Valenzuela. I'm the CEO and founder of Juliet Technologies, and my big idea is laundry and dry cleaning. No one has the time, and no one can be bothered. So I developed an app that picks up, cleans, and delivers your clothes within 24 hours. I launched the app in 2014. In 2020, we launched a web app, so you no longer have to download it. And now in 2022, I'm combining AI with SMS, so you can just text, because no one even wants to download an app anymore. No one wants to remember a username or a password. And I guess that's my big idea. It's innovating on technology and implementing those ideas to laundry and dry cleaning.
Thank you. I've got one really big idea right now. Can the panelists turn on their microphones? Power it on. Yeah. One at a time.
Is this on?
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Kibanin?
Here, use mine.
Just reach this. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Linda. Every time you introduce me, I feel like a real rock star. Thank you. Thank you for having us here. Thank you to the board of Berkeley for having us. And my name is Kibonen Fi. I am originally from Cameroon, West Africa. And I've been in the United States for, I think, 15 years now. And my big idea was to figure out ways of being inspired by the indigenous cultures of my country, Cameroon, in terms of fashion, and figuring out how I could make it more modern and more trendy and add into the world of fashion. I've been doing this since 2010, and my biggest idea is to figure out how a brand like mine can equally be on Fifth Avenue in New York City and sell to every person who loves what I make. Thank you.
Thank you. Christina.
Good morning. I'm very honored to be here and meet everybody. Thank you, Linda, for inviting me. I'm also grateful to have my staff here with me as well, some staff members. So my story actually began, I grew up in Massachusetts. When I was maybe 8 years old, I went around my neighborhood and I went to every neighbor and I asked them if they had any old clothes that they wanted to give me. And I set up a store in my parents' house and I said, will you come buy back all of your old clothes that you donated to me? And I think it was at 8 years old that I realized that I loved product and I loved selling and I loved retail. So after I left the fashion industry here in New York, I went to FIT. I wanted to be a mom. And that was a pretty good idea. But it was not what I was meant to do with my life for, I had to have a bunch of things going. So anyways, I left my career and I looked around and I saw an industry of jewelry that I really didn't want to own. And I think the message that I'd like to say here with the big idea is that there was a void and an opportunity in the market. And I'm coming from a product perspective. And so I said, that adjustable bracelet out there, that's doing so well, I don't really want to own that bracelet. So I said, you know what, I'm going to come up with my own bracelet. And I made a bracelet, and my aunt said that Christmas, you can sell it. And so I did. I put it on Etsy, and I started selling it. And then I got featured. And then I walked into a retail store and I said, will you buy my brand? And they said, okay, fine. They wrote me an order. Well, it sold. And then it continued to sell, and it continued to sell, and I failed, and I got back up, and I failed, and I got back up. And so I guess the message that I'd like to leave after this note is that, one, you need a big idea, yes, but there has to be a void and an opportunity, and something that people really want. So that's
Thank you. Elizabeth.
Hi, thank you guys for having me today. So my name is Elizabeth Taylor, and I'm an esthetician, and I'm the owner of True Beauty Brooklyn, which is a beauty studio in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. We specialize in skincare for melanated skin and all things eyebrows, so growing out your natural brows, microblading, permanent makeup, and intimate waxing for women. I'm also the co-host of the True Beauty Brooklyn podcast, which is a podcast that I launched in 2019, and we now have 30,000 downloads per month. And I guess my big idea was seeing the need to teach beauty, both intrinsic and extrinsic, from the lens of somebody who is actually a beauty professional. So there's a huge influx of people wanting to learn about skincare right now, but there isn't a ton of information from skincare professionals, from people who truly work on skin every single day and know the nuances between skin types, skin conditions, etc. So seeing that, and in the middle of right before the pandemic started, actually, I had the idea to launch the podcast so that we could begin to teach skincare, beauty, both from myself and my co-host, as well as bringing in guest experts to fill in the gaps wherever we didn't really have the information. And then on top of that, I wanted to teach about intrinsic beauty. So social justice, climate justice, what are all the things that truly make a beautiful person? And also, what are the things that we care about as millennials, as Gen Z? Do you know, this idea of beauty can be so flippant as if you just look at it as external. But really, one is we live in a culture where, you know, look good, feel good, right? Everybody wants to feel like they are beautiful, regardless of what that means. But how beautiful can you really be if there's no earth? How beautiful can you really be, you know, looking around and seeing like our neighbors really needing help, or food insecurity, or whatever. So we really strive to do both intrinsic and extrinsic beauty education.
Thank you. Okay, and there's one message that I took away from our guest speaker this morning was be curious. So I am going to ask that the audience be curious as these women are telling their stories. Let that start to make you think a little bit further. So Rochelle, what advice would you give your younger self today? What do you know now that you wish you knew then?
That is a great question, and the advice I would give to my younger self is don't be so hard on yourself. I think as women, we're very critical and we're very judgmental of ourselves, and we think, oh my God, I'm a failure, or I'm not good enough, or I doubt myself. But actually, as an entrepreneur, it's in those moments where you learn. You learn what you're good at, and you learn what you need help in, or you learn where you need to grow. So my advice is don't be so hard on yourself. It's okay. No one really cares. No one knows all those little things that are wrong about you. You know, I'm like obsessed with little things about myself, my eyebrows, my lipstick, but at the end of the day, only I see that. No one else sees that. And it's not just the physical, it's also the intrinsic. So those qualities about yourself that make you really insecure, it's okay. Those are the parts of yourself that probably make you magical and beautiful. So don't be so hard on yourself. That's my advice.
Thank you. Awesome. Kibanin? What would you tell little Kibanin?
That's a really great question. For me, especially considering the experiences I've been through in my life right now, the one thing I'll tell my young self is to believe in yourself. Believe in that silent voice that tells you whatever it is you can do. Believe in the power of the desire in your heart. Believe in that, because that is the one thing which is just there. You did not ask that desire to be there. You did not ask your mind to think that way. So when you think it, you can do it. The rest of the world will definitely not believe in you, because maybe what you're thinking is out of what they think could ever be. But when you have, like I'm saying so specifically for me, I want to be a fashion designer. I want to be on Fifth Avenue. My dad would never believe me. He really thinks I'm a failure, just thinking that. But I know what I'm saying, and I believe in that thing inside of me, which is telling me it's possible. I've lost friendships, I've lost family relationships, but I believe it's possible. So no matter what who says, I go with that belief that it's possible. And I think that's what's getting me to where I dreamt I would be. And I know that I'm going to be there, whatever the case. So for me, the thing is, believe in yourself. Believe in that inner thing that's in you telling you you can do it.
Thank you. Christina.
So I was sort of an independent person growing up. And when I got into the industry, I was very focused on me doing well. And I look back to my early career and some of the managers I had, and you know, one thing that I think that has made my company so strong today is the team of people that I have working for me, and the friendships that we've built. But you know, as a younger person, I think that what I could have learned more, done more of, was networking. So really leveraging those relationships that you have with people, embracing friendships, networking, teamwork. You know, and one thing that we do in my office is I collaborate. So any idea that I ever have, I'm always calling 5 people in the room to sign off on it. Not because I can't make my own decisions, but because I do truly believe that our success is built on the group that we've surrounded around ourselves, and people are proud of the success that they have when they build that together. So,
Excellent. Thank you. Elizabeth?
I would say to keep being weird. I think that especially as people of color, like, you know, so much of wanting to prove yourself to the world is trying to like fit in, right? Trying to assimilate. And our differences, especially in today's world, is what makes our ideas special. And it's what makes a business unique. And it's what makes a business tap into that niche market that the other people aren't seeing. And so I think it's interesting, especially like, you know, when you're younger, you just want to fit in, you want to do what everybody else is doing. But then as you get older, you start to see like, oh, it's the things that make me special that is what draws everybody else around me. But even more so is I think like as artists, the things that make you special is what everybody else wants to gravitate to. So we think that, you know, I want to do this because everybody else is doing this. But just one person thought that at one point, and they did it because nobody else was doing it. And then everybody else started to do that, right? So you have to hold on to your weirdness, hold on to your uniqueness, because that's what's going to make you special, especially in today's world of niche industries and niche products. Like, there are so many more of you than you even think. When I was growing up, I saw, you know, I grew up in a tiny town. The internet was brand new, and I didn't see anybody that looks like me that was doing, like, that was a businesswoman, that worked in fashion, that did these things. But I knew that somebody had to be out there, right? And in today's world, you can see them. Like, they're out there, they're on the internet. So just stay weird, find your people, make niche things. Like, you know, I specialize in eyebrows. That's so random. But I really wanted to be like the best eyebrow person that I could be, and it worked. And so now that's what I do all day, is just eyebrows. And women are like, oh my God, you're the greatest. How did this happen? It's because I busted my butt studying eyebrows. And I was the only one that was kind of doing it. And now look at the world. Everybody wants great eyebrows because we were all wearing masks for a pandemic for so long. So yeah, stick with your weirdness, stick with your niche, and it's going to end up working out.
Great. Thank you. Okay, so Christina said network, Elizabeth told us to stay weird, Kebanan told us to believe in ourselves, and Rochelle said it's okay. So everyone can just breathe. Now we're gonna get serious. As an entrepreneur, being weird, being okay with your eyebrows. I'm going to start with you, Elizabeth. How does one get the funding, get the capital, really get down to the dollars and cents? How does one start a business with getting funding?
I think that you should start where you're at. I think that a lot of people have this idea right now that we need to, do these rounds of big funding, and like everybody needs to get all these huge seed rounds. And somebody actually said to me recently that like the higher the valuation of your company, the more stress that puts on you. So you actually don't necessarily want to have like a $1 billion valuation, right? It's probably better to have like $100,000 valuations, so you can kind of be a little bit more risky. Like you don't owe so much to so many people. So I think start where you're at and go from there. It's easy to just, also if you have an idea, who knows if it's going to work out, right? You can do all of the research that you want to do, all of the metrics, what have you, but you don't really know if that idea is going to work. So just start with, if you have a product, make a prototype. If you want to say, okay, so where I started was I really loved skincare, right? And I loved to work with my hands, so I started just like making body butters. I went on Amazon, I found a recipe, I ordered 5 pounds of shea butter, and just started there. It was like $30 investment or something along those lines. And that's what launched me to where I am today. I never thought that I'd be in the beauty industry. And one day I just thought, you know what, maybe I'll make like this little body butter and see how that goes. And then here we are today. So I think start where you're at. Also, you don't want a lot of overhead to begin with. You want to just keep making money, get as much money in your pocket as possible. So keep your costs as low as you can while just seeing if there's even a market for what it is that you want, and start building from there.
Excellent. Christina?
Well, so I recently had a situation where we were growing so fast, and we were growing so fast that we had to pay for all this inventory. We had our factories sitting with, hundreds of thousands of dollars of inventory, and we basically couldn't get it here because we were selling faster than we could get the inventory. The orders just kept coming in, they were so big. And all I could say in this particular case, because this was the only time I ever had to go out for funding, I started with $10,000 in my bank account, and I spent every dime of it to buy the material I need, and from there. But what I did is I just went to every bank I knew, and I wrote stories, and I begged, and I literally was selling my soul, and it was they were there. But you know what, you go, you ask questions, you find out where you can go to a bank and get money, and it's calculated risk. So loans obviously come with, you have to pay for the money that you're borrowing, and there's timelines, and it's very real, and you have to be able to pay it back. And so, that was my only situation where I was really in but aside from that, I would say when you're starting a business, somebody said to me, you need a line of credit. I said, I don't need a line of credit. I can pay for all my inventory. I know I can do it. I'm selling whatever. But I would recommend to somebody, if you go open your business account, that you do start with a line of credit. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Because there may come a point, like in my case, where I needed to dip into some money, extra money, to basically pay for some inventory so I could ship orders. That's down and dirty.
Yep. Excellent. Keep it in.
So my situation has been really special because I really think I'm a special kid. So I'm like a product of crowdfunding. I've done probably 5 different rounds of GoFundMe, Indiegogo, Kickstarter. Oh, I've done so many crowdfunding, but it's been such a blessing. When I started fashion, I was working at Saks Fifth Avenue. So my first prototypes were done from me being laid off from Procter & Gamble, and they gave me a severance package. So that severance package was what literally got me doing my first prototypes and first travels back home and paying the women to work to put the clothes together for me. When I brought them back, I started selling them, but honestly, the slowest thing that happens is selling, especially when you're the designer and you're selling like to the clients, not to wholesalers. That's the first thing. And then the buzz was out, and I was making these clothes inspired by the culture of my hometown. My people had never seen their products so modern and so not folkloric and so not what they would wear like to the traditional occasions, like what I have on literally. You would have this, but it's all over the outfit. So them seeing it in a modern style was really unique to them. So there was like, woo, the magazines were calling, fashion events were calling. I remember after I had a store in Harlem, and it was really great, but every time I went to my store, I always felt like crying because the people just wanted to buy at ridiculously low prices, like $25, $50. I was like, it's not $50. There's no way this woman took her time to embroider and it's $50. It's $150, come on. So I decided I no longer wanted to be in Harlem because I did not want them giving me the ridiculous prices. I wanted to be in a place where they could value the craftsmanship. So, but I knew nobody in New York. I was like, so I said, okay, I'll go back to school. Because if I go to school, I'll have the opportunity to get internships, I'll have the opportunity to network at different levels, which was what I did. Fast forward at school, I had the opportunity to be at New York Fashion Week because I went into the competition. Then I got into Donna Karan for my internship. And that's how it kept going. But the good thing is, while I was at school, I was invited in South Africa to do Africa Fashion Week in South Africa. So the invitation looks good, but then you have to pay your way through. How am I going to get there? Where am I going to get flights? So I went online and I did Indiegogo. I raised $4,000. I did my collection. I was in South Africa. When I got taken to do New York Fashion Week, it was great, but I had to produce the collection. I went back on Kickstarter and I got funding for that. And honestly, that's how it's been for me because nobody was ever going to give me, first of all, I'm in fashion school. Who asked you to go to fashion school? Like, why don't you go do nursing? So I first of all fell out with all of my family members who wanted me to go do nursing. So I was literally standing alone, and I just knew what I had seen, and I just kept, and then sometimes I would feel embarrassed, like going back on social media to start doing another fundraiser campaign. But I was like, I really don't have a choice. I would be sending messages to everybody like, hey, I've been invited to go to South Africa and I need money to, and they're like, why must you even go? So all of these things. But I remember after I finished school and I was walking down the streets on Port Authority and I met this guy, Brandon Staten, and Brandon says, oh, hey, I think you have a story to share with me. I'm like, what story? He's like, I'm the owner of Humans of New York. I'm like, you're lying. Leave me alone. And I keep walking. He's like, no, I am the owner of Humans of New York, and I want you to share your story with me. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. But then he pulled me to the side, and I was talking to him. And he told me afterwards, he said, when I put up your story, you're going to blow up. And I'm like, yeah, right. And I walked away. But there was something so soothing about talking to him. And lo and behold, when Brandon put up my story, I had 100,000 followers on Facebook. I had $40,000 in sales, like almost within 3 days. And it sounds awesome, right? But then I was not prepared at all. And even my pricing of my products on my website was literally my graduation collection. And you know how, like, for graduation, you try to do the most amazing things. So all of the money I made, I used it, literally everything, making the products to sell, to give to the clients. So basically, I would say raising money, honestly, you build that community that believes in you. And I think they believe in you based on how you take yourself. If you're passionate, you're excited, you don't give up, they would believe in you and they would join you to get this. So my fundraising strategy has literally been my Facebook community. I'm being authentic and true to my journey, not trying to project that I am more than what I have. So if I need help, I go for help. If I don't have it, I make sure people know that I don't have it, and that's literally been my journey. But the beauty is, it made people believe and trust in my resilience and my authenticity, and I've been able to get people who are willing to put in money to invest in what I'm doing. And right now I'm actually working with a bank that is ready to help to a certain degree to fund what I'm trying to do. But now I also have to be ready, like, you know, ready. So yeah, don't be ashamed to really project what you need and truly be authentic about what you're going through, and you'll be able to attract the right people to fund it.
Excellent, thank you.
Love that story. Okay, you need money to make money.
Right.
What happens when you don't have money? Like you said, you fall back on your networks and on your relationships. So I had this idea. I want to develop an app that picks up, cleans, and delivers laundry and dry cleaning. Okay, I need an engineer. How am I going to pay for this engineer? I reached out to an engineer that I had worked with in the past, and I said, I have this idea, but I don't have the money to pay you. Can you build me a prototype, which is the most simplest form of what I'm looking for, and charge me 1 year later? And he said yes, because he believed in me, and we already had that basic relationship with trust and friendship, and he knew that I was going to pay him back. Then I needed a space to do laundry and dry cleaning. So you need money to rent out the space, you need money to rent out the equipment, and you need money for labor. I didn't have any of that. So I cold called all the laundromats in New York, and I said, I have an idea, and everyone hung up on me. They say, you're crazy. But one guy was like, what are you talking about? And that's all I needed. I didn't need to hear yes. I just needed someone who would give me 5 minutes of their time. So the next day, I showed up at his laundromat. And I said, I have this idea for an app for laundry and dry cleaning, blah, 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 and I'm going a million miles a minute, you know, I'm just blabbering on because I'm like this excited young person. And he wouldn't have it. So I said, I'll work for you for free. Teach me everything that you know. I'll work for you for free. I worked for him for free for a year. I still had my side hustles. I, you know, did my little freelancing jobs on the side so I can pay my bills. But mainly, I focused on working at a laundromat for free. And after a year, he gave me the keys to his laundromat, and he said, you could have my space, and you could launch your idea here. He trained me on how to manage the team. He trained me on how to manage the machines. He trains me in everything. But that's how I see it. How he sees it is, I got free labor. You know? And so a lot of it is just switching the mindset. In my head, this is market research. How do I run a laundromat? All right, so now, how do I get customers? I don't have a budget for marketing. I don't have budget for advertising. So I reached out to another relationship. They're called Stonehenge Real Estate Developers. And I had done some previous marketing for them in the past, and I said, hey, I have an idea, you know, it's an app that does laundry and dry cleaning, and can I test it on your residents? And I'll do their laundry for free. And they said, yeah, you can test it on our residents. So they gave me 3 buildings. And I said, okay, I want to send out an email blast. I want to have a stand in the lobby. I want to put posters in the elevators. And I want to give away free laundry bags to everyone. They're like, are you serious? I said, yes. And from day one, I've had customers without a marketing and advertising budget. And that's how I launched the company without any money. So yes, you do need money to make money. But you have so many other resources, and those resources are your relationships. It is those people who are like, you know what? I believe in you. I trust you. I believe you will follow through on that passion. And that has nothing to do with what you have in your pocket. That's how you present yourself to the world. It's how you show up for the world. It's how you show up in the mirror. It's how you wake up. And people feel that. If you trust and believe in yourself, people will trust and believe in you, and that is priceless.
Wow. That's priceless, thank you. So we heard valuation, low debt. We heard low inventory. low overhead, we heard crowdfunding, we heard networking, we heard be a liability. So these are all the takeaways that I hope our audience members who wish to be entrepreneurs one day and will be can think about. So I'm going to pause here, and I'd like to ask my support team that if you could just pass your index cards to either end of your aisle, we will start to take some audience questions. And if we have anybody out there in our virtual reality, we are all ears. Anybody? Thank you, Riddy. Okay. What advice would you give yourself? I'm sorry, this is a little difficult for me to read, so if the author wishes to share with me to support this question, I would be happy to ask them to stand up. Patricia, is this you? Please, no? Okay. How are you able to make choice or decisions amongst noises and opinions? Anybody want to take that one? How are you able to make choice or decisions amongst noise and opinions?
So I think the key word there is noise. It's just noise. Tune it out and listen to yourself. You already have all the answers inside. Only you see the vision, and only you have the skill set and the capabilities to execute on that idea, like we were saying before. And so it's just noise.
And what I'm going to add is, like I said earlier, just really being convinced about what you are doing and believing in what you're doing. Be very friendly with opinions, really be friendly with them, because some people give opinions to have a reason to resent you. So when you don't follow their opinions or you don't attend to it the way they want you to attend to, they just find a reason like, oh no, she does not listen. You know, I've heard people say it's separate, she's so stubborn, she does not listen. Don't bother to tell her anything because she does not listen. But I listen, I hear you, but I am still convinced about what is in my heart. And I'm just going to keep going at that. And I understand sometimes people are really concerned. It's really out of love, you know, that they give you certain opinions. It's really because they care. You know, they don't want to see you suffer. Like in my case, a lot of people who give me their opinions, like I remember coming back here like a couple of months ago, because I was in Africa for 2 years trying to set up my production, my garment production companies. And it's been really tough. It was tough. And I was coming back tired, kind of dejected. I've spent all my money there and I'm not feeling. And a friend calls me and she's like, Kibone, I have an idea for you. I'm like, what? She's like, I think you should go study cyber security or Scrum Master or one of these database administration, one of these really cool, you know, professions that have come up, and it's going to take you only 6 months, and you're going to come out amazing, and I think you'll be able to make 6 figures and all. And I'm like, oh yes, I'm like, for real, yes. Yeah, I think this time I'll do it. But I've been having opinions to do nursing, IT and all of that for maybe the past 10 years, because nobody believes in what I'm doing. Like, I could be on CNN, like literally, I was on CNN African Voices, highlighting what I'm doing in my country, creating jobs for over maybe 100 people right now. But people will still call me to tell me to go study Scrum Master and get a job and all. Like, how do you even record? But I know they are coming from a good place. They just don't see the money flourishing like they would want it to. Why? Because I have 100 people I need to pay salaries to. So it's not going to be fun for me. But I listen and I make them feel very valued in what they're doing. Oh yes, I'm going to do it. Send me the link for the training and all. I'm going to do it. And I just stay quiet. And then the next time she call me, I just don't really answer with that kind of enthusiasm anymore. Because I believe in where I'm going, and I believe that what you're saying is out of love and consideration for me, but I just would not do it because you don't understand or you don't see what I'm saying. So be nice.
Thank you. I'm gonna move on to, we've got some excellent questions here. So Christina, the next question for you. Thank you, Kibanin. Do you think you would be open to partnerships with bigger companies?
Well, okay. So, partnerships with bigger companies. So, I'm a brand builder. I started with one brand, Stia. It's a sterling silver jewelry brand. And then I added Skylar Page, which is a fashion stretch bracelets, sentiments on the packaging, under $30. And then we saw another opportunity for another sterling silver brand, Swish. So I have 3 brands under my umbrella. When we talk about partnerships with other companies, in my business, I would potentially, and I actually have a dream of doing this, is I would like to leverage my private label business. So while I've created my own brands, I have the capability to do manufacturing. I have incredible distribution because I have an amazing sales force. I know the industry. I have marketing. I have ability to do marketing. I have graphic people to do design work. I have factories. So I have all these things, and you know, I could partner, say, with someone like you that says, I would like to make a brand of jewelry that has symbols of emojis on it. I'm just making it up. And so whatever. And so that would be my partnership. If somebody ever wanted to buy my company, they would have to buy me, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, so.
Great. Thank you. Elizabeth, this question is, I'm going to ask to you. Is your plan written in stone, or does it change with circumstances?
I think that as an entrepreneur, you always have to be able to be able to change. I mean, look at what just happened in the last 2 years, right? Nobody was expecting a pandemic, and so what are you going to do? Especially for myself, I work with people face to face, right? My business had to close down for 6 months, so I had to figure out another way to still reach my customers. So, which is why I started the podcast. So, in terms of the plan being set in stone, I think you need to have an idea of what your goal is, right? Like, what's your overarching goal for your business, whatever that is, and go from there. You know, at one point I realized that whatever it is that I do, all of roads need to lead back to true beauty. And so what that means is I can have a podcast, I can have a brand, I can have an online store, I can have all of these different revenue streams, right? And all these different verticals, but they all need to come back to true beauty. You know, that doesn't make any sense for me to open up a woodworking store. If I wanted to do this like a separate business, that's a different story, but that has nothing to do with what my main business is. So I think in terms of having your plan written in stone, have your goal in stone. Your goal has to remain the same. But I think the plan's got to be flexible. You have to be able to move and be flexible, because that's what makes us all survive. That's what makes us all thrive. And also things are changing, right? Technology's changing, trends are changing, everything's constantly changing. And so, you know what, when I first started the podcast, I remember somebody, mostly men, saying, well, you know, beauty, can you really speak about that for like more than 100 episodes? I said, Maybelline has to make a new mascara every quarter for the past 100 years. I think we're gonna be good. So, you know, so you just have to always know that, like, the goal stays the same, the plan changes.
Gosh, goal stays the same, the plan changes. Love it. Yep. Patent that one. Okay, from our audience, our chat box, we have a great question here, and I'm gonna start with Rochelle. This is my favorite one for you. How do you manage work-life balance?
So I meditate a lot.
I meditate for about at least 30 minutes in the morning. If I have the time, I'll do an hour. And then at least 30 minutes in the evening, and then an hour before bed. But I was meditating just now, listening to the questions, and you can do it any place, and it's just a deep breath. I don't have a lot of time to do everything that I want to do. Nobody has, especially in today's on-demand world. But you are constantly breathing. And so when you're managing your work-life balance, your work-life stress, you have a million things on your plate, you just breathe through it. And so I'm listening to your questions, I'm going, that's such a hard question. I'm going, hearing everyone's answers, and that's how I manage it. I just breathe through it. And no one knows that you're doing it, but it does calm you down when your heart is racing.
That's great. So while you're calm, if this career path did not work out, what was your backup plan?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I am also an immigrant. I came to America as a little girl, and I saw my family struggle. I was born in the Philippines. Life is really difficult there. There isn't a lot of opportunity. So when I branched out into entrepreneurship, where there is no guarantees, I always thought, I'm in America. I'm in New York. What's the worst that could happen? I can get a job at a restaurant. I could be a janitor. I could be a housekeeper. We are already ahead of the game because we are in America, and even more so because we are in New York. So I have no fear. I have no fear of failing, because as long as I have my 2 feet, I know I can stand. I get a job at Berkeley. Yeah. You know, you leverage your relationships, and so that's what, I don't have a plan. I just know I won't fail.
Excellent. That's confidence. Okay, Kibanin, how do you manage your work-life balance?
Oh. So, I think, not like I'm actually doing it though, but I believe that for me to be able to manage, first would be probably relationships, because you need a relationship at some point or the other. What I strive to get in a relationship is probably someone who understands what I do and who in one way or another can contribute in a certain way to what I do. It could just be being a great back office for me, being a great support system, but I know that I would definitely not be able to function with someone who is totally out of the understanding of what I do. I remember I used to date a guy in the past, and when I told him I was going to fashion school, he said fashion school was for people who were not smart. And he said I should go because I was trying to get into NYU, because you know when you come from Africa, your parents so want you to do the MBAs and all this, go to all these great schools. So I was carried away in that thought. And I was like, I remember how I felt when he told me going to fashion school was for people who could not pass the GMAT. That's how he put it. Like, I felt so bad. And he saw things only in a particular way, and I knew there was no way. I don't care how much money you have, I don't care how important you are in the society, but if you cannot at least even support what I do, so probably I'm still single because I'm trying to get that person, so yeah. So that's it. And then another thing I do is I really maintain a strong spiritual balance. She talked of meditation, I pray a lot, so I try to make sure I rely on the person who created me to ordain my steps or to make me do that which he created me to do. So those are really the two things which I would say. As far as my family is concerned, right now I really don't have a good relationship with my family, so I'm kind of in a la zone, but hopefully I'm hoping to fix that so that everything balances out, because the truth is when one part of your life is not in alignment, it kind of throws you off. You might not have the ready solution, but you keep making steps gradually, and I just know my little success which is around the corner will kind of help balance up the disappointment in my family's heart. So yeah, basically.
Thank you. Okay. We're going to switch gears for a moment because we've got some fantastic questions. So I'm going to now move on to Christina. What resources or memberships in the business community, such as chambers or groups, is important to you, or is it important for any entrepreneur to be involved? Christina.
I'm involved with the local Chamber of Commerce in the town where my business is in Parsippany, New Jersey. you know, being part of those groups, again, it goes back to networking. You know, Chamber of Commerce is a great first step. There's banks, there's attorneys, there's marketing people, graphic people, you know, people that also are maybe associated with schools that could potentially produce great employees for you. I'm always looking for amazing employees and young people just coming out of college, because I feel like they're fresh and raw and I can mold them to be who I need them to be for my business. Yeah, absolutely important to get out and be involved. Yeah.
Thank you. Elizabeth, this question is, where would you like to see your business in 5 years?
That's an interesting question because I'm kind of piggybacking on her question. So I'm actually part of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses right now, which you are as well, Rochelle. And in terms of being a part of organizations, it's really lonely being an entrepreneur because, you know, I like to describe it as kind of being like on an archipelago. Like you're just on your own little island and you've got this crazy idea, and as you were saying, nobody else believes in it, but you're crazy and you really believe in it and you see that it can happen and you're just putting everything in your life into this, and then you look up and like nobody gets what you're doing, you kind of feel crazy. So in terms of having people around you that also understand what you're doing, it's so, so, so important. And I was talking to a friend of mine who's also an entrepreneur, and I was, you know, telling her about all of my problems and issues, and, you know, I was like, I only have you to talk to who understands this, and she said, girl, you need to join this program. Let me tell you about it. And it's honestly one of the greatest things that I've done in my business. So one is, that's a really great resource, but two is, I'm building out my growth plan right now. So I've got a very good idea of what I'm gonna be doing in the next 5 years. And so I've got a couple of different things. One is, you know, a big issue that all businesses have is human resources. And specifically my business, I do very specialized work, right? I just told you all I'm obsessed with eyebrows. And so I have a really hard time finding people who can kind of fill my place. And I've gone through so many different girls who've come in and out. And so long story short is I realized that I need a place where I have a constant influx of people who are trained well, who can always be there. And within the Goldman Sachs program, one of my cohort members actually has an academy called Westchester Barber Academy, and he's looking to start an esthetician's program and a waxing program. So now he and I are gonna be working together so that I can actually train the exact people that I want to come and work for me at the shop. So once I don't actually have to be in the shop, I can focus my attention on other things, which is going to be a product that I'm working on. I'm going to keep that under lock and key for the moment while I'm still doing my research. But yeah, that's my plan, is to grow the business so that I don't actually have to be working in the business. I can work on the business, and then start to develop out from there a couple of different platform streams for continuing educating my clients and my audience on beauty intrinsically and extrinsically, and then offering some products as well. And then we'll see what else. Maybe a school, a whole aesthetic school, I don't know.
Wonderful. Well, Berkeley does have a wonderful entrepreneurship program here, so just welcoming you. Okay, Rochelle, would you please take the same question? Where would you like to see your business in 5 years?
20% of the New York City market. Laundry and dry cleaning is a $20 billion industry, and the top 50 businesses combined make up less than 10% of market share. It's a highly fragmented industry, which means there is real opportunity to gain market share. In the next 5 years, Juliet, my company, aims to be category leader in New York for laundry and dry cleaning.
And did I hear robots are in the future of dry cleaning?
She's working on
Well, as you mentioned, labor is a real issue. Especially in the past 2 years, human resources, training people to remove stains is actually quite difficult on a beautiful white shirt. So one of the things that we're implementing is a robot who can take your dirty clothes and give you your clean clothes. We haven't trained them to remove the stains yet, but we've trained them to accept dirty clothes. And then you enter a code and you go boop, 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 and then your clean dry cleaning comes out, or your clean laundry opens in a locker. So that's step one to our robots.
Stay tuned. Thank you. This is a very cool question, Kebon, and I'm going to give this one to you. If you could meet one person for 30-minute conversation, who would that be and why?
So this person is like right up the top of my lips, and that's Tory Burch. And the reason is because Tory Burch is like a billionaire right now, and she owns, I think, just 28 or 18% of her business. I cannot really remember. I love her business acumen, and I love how she's able to, at the same time, run a foundation and her program and her business at the same time. And one thing she always says is when she started talking to investors and she said she wanted to do her business and she also wanted to do a foundation, everybody told her those two words cannot be in the same sentence at the same time. Cool. But I see the enormous work she's done in raising other female entrepreneurs, and she's been committed to it. And she runs her own production factories, and her brand is all over the world. And she's not so expensive, so she's like a contemporary brand, and her products are just lifestyle. And she's been able to go across from her ballet flats, which I think everybody has one, to clothing, to jewelry, to skincare, perfumes. So that's the person I would want to meet.
And I know, Rochelle, take it away, because I think you have a personal connection there, so go ahead.
I am a Tory Burch Fellow, and I attest to everything that you're saying, and I am wearing all Tory Burch. And she has really been relentless in supporting female entrepreneurs. And if anyone wants to apply to the fellowship or has a question about the Tory Burch Foundation or the Goldman Sachs Ambassador Small Business Program, I'm an ambassador for both, so happy to make those introductions.
Awesome.
So I'm set.
Christina, 30-minute conversation with who?
Sarah Blakely. Yeah.
Do we know who Sarah Blakely is? This is an audience question.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Spanx.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Look her up, everyone.
So I was in the foundations business. I started out of FIT. I worked at the Victoria's Secret Design Studio on 7th Avenue. And and then I went on to work in a private label company right across from the Empire State Building. I was working on Fruit of the Loom for Walmart. And then I went to Maidenform in Woodbridge, Island area, New Jersey, where I was a merchandise manager, and I handled the Target, Kmart, and Walmart accounts. So my experiences in bras and shapewear. But one thing I never got to do was actually meet Sarah Blakely or work for her company, but I knew a lot of people that did work for her company. And she also is somebody who is very empowering and inspirational. Somebody who cut a pair of stockings and said, this is what women need, and it's a void, an opportunity in the market, and built a tremendous business in doing it. She just recently sold, I think she sold part of her company. I think she got too big for her skinny britches. And anyway, she's a mom like me. I have two boys, they're 8 and 10. And so, anyways, I think she did everything right, and she got out at the right time too.
Yep.
She knew what, I think she could be very good at mentoring and leading me to make some good decisions in my own business.
Excellent. Elizabeth, 30 minutes on your podcast with who?
I feel like this is an unfair question because I have so many people in my mind. I really would want to make a good choice, But off the top of my head, I would say probably Anastasia Beverly Hills, just because, she really introduced the world to eyebrows. If you think about it, in the 90s, there wasn't even any eyebrow makeup. People were just using eyeshadow in their brows, and now she started a whole products line, a whole products category. Which is really, really inspiring, and I'm trying to get a piece of that. So.
All right. Okay, so back to dollars, and then we're going to wrap it up with final questions. This is one here from the chat box. What is the metric of success for your business? Is it sales? Is it consumer satisfaction? Please tell us. We're going to shorten your answers, so we'll start with Rochelle, and we'll move along quickly for the interest of time.
Okay, the metric for success at my company is scale. How quickly and efficiently can we scale?
Thank you.
For me, it's been the impact in my community, and it's been the revolution that I've been able to impart in the entire African minds about fashion being a career, fashion creating jobs, fashion being a tool for economic development, and that has really picked up right now. So many young and emerging designers, which was never the case in the past. So in my country, it's being able to modernize the traditional regalia to what now everybody wears, so yeah.
Great. I would say, well, I'm an analysis girl, so I'm constantly looking at margins, dollars, and growth. So, my business has doubled last year. It'll probably triple this year. So I'm constantly looking at how I'm growing the business by dollars. That's.
Okay,
Again.
thank you. Perfect. That's it. Business.
For sure, obviously financial success, I think, obviously, but honestly, even more than that is knowing that I'm making a difference in people's lives and that they feel empowered, whether from when they look in the mirror and they can say, like, I'm beautiful, I feel great, whether it's from seeing themselves and somebody that we have on our podcast and saying, wow, I've never heard my story before, I've never seen myself being seen, and feeling empowered that way. But yeah, hearing back from my audience and just hearing, like, I feel incredible from what you've done for me that was a success for sure.
Wow, thank you. Any last questions from our audience members? Did you guys enjoy this? Round of applause. Sorry, I have one here. Yes, one question. The chat.
Knowing what you know now, is there anything you would have done differently when you were first starting out?
Okay, I'll repeat that. Knowing what you know now, is there anything you would have done differently for starting out? We'll start with Rochelle.
Yes, I take a lot of pride in being a solo entrepreneur. I think if I could go back in time, I would try to find a partner. At this stage in my company, it's a little bit more difficult because I'm so set in my ways. But if I could go back in time, there's a saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others.
Nice.
Can I be honest?
Please.
I would not have done fashion.
Okay.
It's a really tough business. Like, you really need to have the skin for it. One, it's excessively competitive. Two, you leverage a lot on your connections. And three, you have to just be all round on top of your game. Like, you need to be getting the latest thing that's going to be the latest hit, and that's going to be it's really tough. Like, if I really knew honestly what I know now, maybe I would have started with maybe an accessory, which would have been really easier than with full-blown clothing, because clothing is really tougher. So start with an accessory, and then you can grow into clothing, but you would have made a better, footprint with clothing and more income coming, because you could have the same product and keep making it over and over. But with clothing, you have to be changing it all the time and all the time.
Good,
So, yeah.
thanks. Christina?
No changes.
Great. Elizabeth?
No, it's obnoxious, but I feel the same way. But the reason is because we live in this world right now for some weird reason that people think failure is a bad thing, where it's like, you have to fail. A failure is just like, well, that didn't work, let's try something else. Like, especially in business, yes, there's some like hard facts and truths, right? That you really, like accounting, don't mess that up. But everything else, like, you have to just fail so that you can be like, that didn't work, let's try something else, let's try something else. Because being in business is about doing things differently. You can do things the same, but you're not going to go very far. It's the differentiation that's going to really push your business to stand out from the rest. And to do that, you've got to try weird things, and again, being weird, right? But just don't be afraid to fail. And don't be afraid of what other people think. That's why people don't want to fail, because they don't want to feel embarrassed or looked at bad from their community. But like, whatever, they're going to be fine at their desk job. You're going places. So you got to like fail, dust yourself off, learn a lesson. Because don't just keep failing and doing it again. Learn the lesson and then move forward.
Wow, thank you. So without further ado, I want to thank all of you for your time. We are still here for the audience members who want to meet in real life and talk to these fantastic women with big ideas. So thank you all for coming. I hope you had something to take away from today.
I feel so tall up here now. Just a couple final thank yous before we close. Thank you so much to our panel, to Linda. It was a wonderful conversation. It really gave me a jolt to my morning. I want to give a big thank you to our Berkeley team who helped put this event together today. We did have about 75 people on the live stream, so hi to all of you in the virtual audience. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to Chris Khalil from Information Systems, Mike Binder and the Buildings and Grounds team who set up the room. It looks great. Liz Valoria, Sam Horning, and all of the marketing team who designed our materials, our student volunteers, thank you very much, and of course Linda Morrow for opening our campus for the event. Thank you, Berkeley people. And we're going to be sharing a recording of today's event as well as some resources from our panelists via an email newsletter. You can also find it on our website, berkeleycollege.edu/WEW, and you can also look out for a survey about today's event. Thank you to our sponsors, Valley Bank, Main Street Movers, to our media partners, Latinas in Business, Inc., the New American Chamber of Commerce, and the National Association of Women Business Leaders. Thank you so much. Have a great